Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is Cord and Friends Season 1, Episode 3. Happy to have you back with us, man, on SoundCloud, on YouTube. However, you're getting us straight to the building from us to you. This week it is going down. We got the Fantasy Football Extravaganza special going down. Help you with your league and your office, on your block, and in Vegas. All the tips you need to have a successful season. Lots of stuff going on. We got a newest member. Rocco will be making his premiere this week with the AFC East. And don't forget, Bad Boy Bill will be in the house, our betting specialist, here to help you out. You're listening to Cord and Friends, Season 1, Episode 3. We'll be back in 10 seconds.
This is an alert from Central Dispatch. Major disturbance reported.
It's the greatest show of all time.
Now, if you would have told me that fantasy football would have had this pull and have this huge following, I don't know, 10 years ago, I'm not sure if I would have believed you. It's on the surface seems kind of nerdy, but I mean, it has really become a multi-million-dollar industry. It doesn't matter how you feel about gambling. It is just a matter of time before it becomes legalized. We are moving forward. We are not moving behind. Like I said, regardless of your personal feelings, it is going on and it is speeding up and it is not going anywhere. Perfect example, no matter how you feel about Jerry Jones in Dallas, he's a brilliant businessman. And here he has worked out a deal with DraftKings. So long story short, this episode is going to help you win your league, help you get some money in your pocket if you're a betting man, or just have something to brag about for the next 10 months or whatever it is. All right? So we got a lot going on. First up, we'd like to introduce the newest member of our team, Rocco, making his Cord and Friends debut with the AFC East.
AFC East.
We bet the Miami Dolphins winning 13-9 against the Atlanta Falcons. C.J. Yates goes for 18 for 28, 187 yards, no touchdowns. Paul Wallace gets 2 tackles for losses. For you guys in the IDP leagues, he's going to be a tackle machine. I would take him if you could. Leonard Hankerson is also the guy I would look out for. Guy's going to be taking Roddy White's spot. It's going to happen very soon. I'm telling you right now. Again, Miami Dolphins, however, Ryan Tannehill goes 15 for 19, 145 yards and a touchdown. Rashard Lewis is the one who caught it. Jarvis Landry, 5 catches, 84 yards. Miami wins 13-9. Jets, Giants. We got a 28-18 win for the Giants. Ryan Fitzpatrick goes 9 for 14, 127 yards, 2 touchdowns. Eric Decker catching one of them. Zach Stacy gets 60 yards in that contest. Look, guys, you're not going to want Zach Stacy. Stay away from him. Don't worry about his preseason stuff. The guy's not going to be doing much. Stay away as far as fantasy goes. Now, on to the Bills and Steelers. 43-19. Crazy win for the Bills. Can't believe they scored that many points. E.J. Manning was 7 for 8, 170 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Look, he's trying to solidify his quarterback spot. He's got a lot of competition for it. Tyrod Taylor is looking like the man that he needs to beat. We'll see what ends up happening. Charles Clay, 2 catches, 69 yards, and a touchdown in the contest. Greg also got another one. Look, we all know what the Steelers can bring to the table. Charles Clay is going to be the guy, the tight end there. You're going to want to roll with him if you can pick him up. Not a bad pickup for deeper leagues. On to the Patriots and Panthers. 17-16. Jimmy Garoppolo goes 13 for 17, 126 yards, and a touchdown. Look, the guy's going to have to play for 4 weeks. We pretty much know this is going to happen because Tom Brady just went 7 for 13, 84 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 picks. Nobody's worried about Tom Brady, nor should you be. Not a problem. Chandler and Lewis are the ones that score the touchdowns on those plays. Guys, if you get a chance, pick Tom Brady this year. The guy's going to be pissed. When he gets a chance, he's going to be in that lineup, and when he gets in that lineup, dude is going to be upset. Looks for a Brady that we saw with Randy Moss in the lineup against the Tennessee Titans. a couple of years back, what was it, 07? And he put up 56 points against them. This is what you want to see. This is what you're going to see from Tom Brady. If you get a chance, don't let those 4 games scare you. Take advantage. See you guys next week.
Big thank you to our newest member, Rocco, bringing the AFC East to you and beyond week in and week out. Next up, Bad Boy Bill, our in-house betting specialist. Keep it locked in here, man. Cord and Friends, Season 1, Episode 3. We'll be back in 10 seconds.
Evacuate now before you all die, or worse.
Welcome back, Cord and Friends, Season 1, Episode 3, the Fantasy Football Extravaganza. Help you win your league at the office, on the block, and in Vegas. Next up, Bad Boy Bill, our in-house betting specialist. Keep an ear out for this. You would not believe the screenshots that this guy sends me of just his winning streaks and his ability to call games and scores and all this. It's crazy. So it would behoove you to take a listen and see what he's got to say. Here we go, Bad Boy Bill up next.
And now for a taste of things to come.
I wanted to go in and talk about some possible sleepers or hidden gems people could look into taking for their upcoming draft. Also some draft techniques and misconceptions and some week 1 betting picks. First off, just getting into some sleepers and hidden gems people may overlook or misconsider in their drafts. I like Colin Kaepernick. He's kind of a hidden gem. He's from last season kind of having an off year with his draft stock. He's currently the 19th quarterback in most league rankings, but even last season when he failed to throw for multiple touchdowns in 10 of 16 games, including 9 straight games from weeks 7 to 16, he still finished as a 16th highest scoring quarterback, which is ahead of his current average ranking. Dual threat quarterback are pretty much key in fantasy, I believe, which is why I also like Cam Newton. Speaking of the Panthers, I'm not only favored toward them as being a fan, but I think Jonathan Stewart might be a little hidden gem this year. He shared Carolina's backfield with D'Angelo Williams his entire career, but he finally gets a chance this year to see what he can do mostly by himself. In 2009, the only season in which he had more than 200 attempts, he ran for 1,133 yards and 10 touchdowns. For a sleeper defense, I kind of like the Patriots defense. Over the offseason, they lost Darrelle Revis, Brandon Browner, and Wilfork, of course, Vince Wilfork. And that has a lot of people reluctant on drafting them for their defense special teams. But every year from 2010 to 2014, the Patriots defense and special teams finished in the top 10 in terms of fantasy points. Also, like the Bucs, draft misconceptions and QBs. A lot of times, quarterbacks in drafts are wiped out in the first rounds. And sometimes it's a big misconception as to when you should draft your quarterback. Should you wait? Should you not? Quarterbacks aren't always deemed as the most important position in fantasy football, the way I look if you're drafting. In standard leagues, passing touchdowns count only for 4 points, while rushing and receiving touchdowns earn 6. I think it's bigger to pick running backs and wide receivers over quarterbacks. As far as quarterbacks go, timing is pretty much everything when picking them. Quarterback position has had the same 4 or 5 studs the past few seasons. Aaron Rodgers, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, Tom Brady, and even Andrew Luck. These have all been the most consistent quarterbacks for fantasy points and players this decade, really. Manning was a stud for the first 3 quarters of the season. His production fell off dramatically last year due to injury, etc. Tom Brady, he continues to put up top 10 fantasy numbers, but, now he's going to be suspended for the first 4 games. And Rodgers and Luck has only 2 true studs to feel safe about taking in an early round. Aside from that, if you don't have one of those 2, I think you're better off switching up your philosophies and just going with the big-time running backs or wide receivers and maybe not picking up an early top quarterback. One big thing people slip on, which is also a way you can earn big fantasy points, is the kickers. Pretty much a consistent, easy way to get some easy points. If you get a chance in your draft and can get a good kicker, it's also a way that kickers are considered sleepers, a way to catch up with people. Some of the top kickers, you got Steven Gronkowski from New England. Last year he had 35 field goals, 51 point-after attempts, and 170 total points scored. He's one of the most consistent, great performers. Adam Vinatieri for the Colts, of course. He had 30 field goals, 50 point-after attempts, and 153 points. At 42 years old, he only missed one field goal last season. And I also like Cody Parker for Philly. He had 32 field goals, 54 point-after attempts, scored 162 points. As a rookie last season, he scored the second most fantasy points among kickers. So if you get a chance to sneak in one of those three, I think those are three awesome picks as well.
So there's your fantasy notes. Tell me about some pick'ems that you got. You got some matchups you got your eye on?
I was looking at week one, some of the spreads that I think are skewed a bit. I like the Carolina Panthers. Once again, I'm favorite to them, but they're playing Jacksonville. Jacksonville just flat out sucks. And Carolina is only favored by 3.5. I think they're going to beat them by much more than that. Colts play the Bills. They're on the road, but Colts are only favored by 3. I know the Bills have improved some and they have a new coach at the helm, but I don't see them beating the Colts at all. And I definitely see the Colts and Andrew Luck dominating them by more than 3 points. I think that spread's a little skewed as well. Good old Seahawks versus the Rams. Seahawks are on the road, but they're only favored by 4. I know the Rams have improved some, but I think that spread there is a little skewed. I don't see any way the Seahawks would lose to the Rams. I'd take the Seahawks at -4. I like the Jets at -3 over the Browns. Jets are at home. I know the Jets suck, but I think the Browns suck even worse. I think that's pretty much a lock as well. Also, a big upset I could maybe see in a spread this coming week. It's Green Bay at Chicago. I know Green Bay is dominant, but Chicago's vastly improved as well. Green Bay's favored by 6.5 with the Bears being at home. I'd be willing to take the Bears in the 6.5 points. I think it's going to be a real close game, but I'd be careful betting on the spread on that one. I think that's a bit of a hiccup there. So in review, I would take Chicago Bears plus 6.5, a possible upset there. I look at that as being a sketchy game. New York Jets -3 over the Cleveland Browns. I'll take that all day. Colts -3 over the Bills. That's a lock. And the Panthers over the horrible Jacksonville Jaguars -3.5. I take that all day as well. It's Billy McGirt. Hit me up on Twitter. It's TheRealBill704. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you want to hear about, and we'll get back to you. Appreciate it.
Big thank you to Bad Boy Bill. Catch him week in and week out on Cord and Friends. It is Season 1, Episode 3. Next up, the do's and don'ts of having your fantasy football party, and I will also reveal my roster for this current year. It's Cord and Friends. We'll be back in 10 seconds.
Are you okay?
Hey, this is Sarah from Colorado. I'm an old friend of Cord's. Just wanted to call in and say hello and say who dat. Have a good day.
Welcome back, CORD in the building. Still a lot more show to go. I gotta tell you, I was in Fayetteville about a week ago for our fantasy draft party. It was a lot of fun, hosted by Ronnie of our show and also his beautiful wife, Crystal. You should have seen the spread they had. She had 20 highlighters out, had packets for everybody. It was beautiful. I have not seen that many cigars and that many coolers in the same spot in a good while. It was a lot of fun. Do's and don'ts of your fantasy party. If your girlfriends are coming, make sure they have something to do. You do not want to be bothered for the 4-hour process that it's going to take. Yes, 4 hours. Yes, it usually takes some time. You're the type of cat that just goes auto draft. Don't be mad at me when you miss the playoffs. Okay? Don't commit to multiple leagues. Don't commit to 3 or 4 leagues when that's going to be 12 hours of drafting and you know you got the patience for 2 hours. And I would encourage everybody to be friendly, especially if you're a guest in somebody's house. Don't do anything you're going to regret in the morning. Be civil. It's all for fun. Remember that at the end of the day. So let's take a look. 18-team league, which is just probably the deepest you've ever heard. A lot of fun, man. A lot of shit talking going on. So I had the 11th overall pick in an 18-team deep league. Keep that in mind. We'll go over the picks. Number 1 overall, Tony Romo. Not a huge fan of the Cowboys, but hopefully he won't do me wrong. He was the best available in my personal opinion, so I had to scoop him up. Now, a big thing to remember in your leagues is remember how they're scored. You heard Bad Boy Bill talk about that some. You know, make sure you look at the rules. if it is not a traditionally scored league, make sure you know what you're getting your points in and what you're not. That could be the difference between you being successful and you being 4-10. Second overall, I took C.J. Anderson, running back for Denver Broncos. Look for him to make a big splash this year. Third overall, Golden Tate. You're not going to be able to double Calvin Johnson and Golden Tate. Look for Golden Tate in Detroit to have a monster year. Fourth round, took a risk on Amari Cooper. He has not looked very sharp this preseason, but a big body. Look for him to develop later in the year. Number 5, I know this is going to surprise a lot of people, Nelson Aguilar in Philadelphia. Watch out for him. He'll make a great third-string wide receiver for you. Look out for him. Look out for Philly to have some offensive firepower at the wide receiver position. Number 6, Isaiah Crowell, running back in Cleveland. Had him last year. He treated me pretty well. Number 7, rookie Seattle Seahawk Tyler Lockett, not to be confused with Ricardo Lockett of the same team. Tyler will be returning kicks for Seattle, and look for him to also make a splash in the offense as the year progresses. Number 8 overall, Texans defense. You're going to need a defense. You know, obviously Seahawks, hot in the conversation. Miami, another steal for you. 9th overall, Mason Crosby. Bad Boy Bill was saying, get yourself a kicker, man. Guaranteed points. Look for Green Bay to put up a lot of numbers this year offensively. Number 10, Danny Woodhead, San Diego. A vet. Always going to get you some catches. Now, at this point in the draft, you're deep. You're multiple hours in. Everybody's been drinking. You know, everybody's pulling names of people that they don't even know of. But this is where you get your steals. 11th overall, Jermaine Kearse. Number 2 wideout for Seattle Seahawks. Look for him to be getting some catches week in and week out. Number 12 overall, took a risk on Marcus Mariota. Dual threat quarterback, Tennessee. We shall see how that pans out. And like I said, by these rounds, you might not even know some of the names that are being called. 13th overall in an 18-team league, Luke Wilson. Tight end, backup tight end in Seattle. Had a big year last year, made some important catches. Do not expect Jimmy Graham to have all the fun at the tight end position in Seattle. Mark my words on that. Number 14, Brett Selleck. As you can see, I got kind of in a hole with the tight end position. Brett Selleck, veteran in Philadelphia, can get you some grabs if you did not grab a tight end early. And then number 15, last pick of the draft, for me in a 15-rounder, 4 hours in, Robert Turbin, second in command in the running back position in Seattle. They're not going to overload Marshawn Lynch early in the year. They're going to need him in December or January. So Robert Turbin would be a great late 14th, 15th round steal for you. Nobody even knows who Robert Turbin is unless they're a Seahawk fan or unless they're a fan of somebody in the NFC West. So there you go. 18-team league is probably the deepest that you'll ever hear, but it's a lot of fun. Make sure you don't get too hammered, and if you do decide to party, make sure you're taking Uber or a taxi home. Don't endanger other people. Don't put your family or other families in risk, man. Have a good time with your fantasy draft. Have a good time with the football season. Have a good time with each other. We're going to take a 10-second break, and then we'll go around the league with some news, and we're winding it down. Still a little bit to go here on Cord and Friends, Season 1, Episode 3. We'll be back in 10 seconds.
Step out of the car, please, sir.
Welcome back, Cord and Friends, Season 1, Episode 3, winding it down. Going to take you around the league, hit you with anything that you need to know. Preseason coming to an end. Week 4 will probably just be to see who's going to make the team in those final bubble positions. Cutting the rosters down from upper 90s to about 51, 52 men. A lot of backups to get some game tape in. We'll see how that goes. Don't forget, Kirk Cousins named starter in D.C., so if you were stupid enough to take Robert Griffin in your draft, make sure you adjust. NFC West Cardinals, in my opinion, look pretty flat. Carson Palmer looks like he's as done could be. And St. Louis did not really live up to my expectations. Looked great at the running back position, but not as solid as I was anticipating. And I'm sure you've heard about Jordy Nelson, Green Bay Packer wideout to be hurt. I feel bad for the guys that had an early draft and took him early. That's a heartbreaker. Of course, Reggie Wayne goes to where the one place I didn't want him to go, the fucking New England Patriots. Look for them to be in the hunt as usual. But we're winding it down. Want to thank you for tuning in for Cord and Friends Season 1, Episode 3. We will be back next week in full swing. Want to thank you for checking us out. We'll be taking next week off and be prepping for the season. So you will hear from us again September 14th. Be on the lookout for that as we get into the regular season of the NFL and beyond. Thanks for tuning in on SoundCloud. SoundCloud.com/CordPodcast. And also on YouTube, youtube.com/FSGreathouse, GREAT. FS Greathouse for all your information that you need to know, all your vids, all your exclusives. We will be back next week, man. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you later.